Good afternoon to our esteemed alumni, our hard-working colleagues, our highly regarded academics. Good afternoon to our fellow members of the Executive Committee of the Convocation. Good afternoon to our dedicated President, Professor Dumi Diale, our illustrious alumnus and convener, Mr. Stephen Shivambo, our enterprising, tireless leader, the Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Chiliti Marwala. You're all most welcome. I am Zanele Mudiba, the Deputy President of the Convocation, and I'm thrilled to mark this significant milestone off of our list of priorities as we commence our program of the official launch of the UJ Gauteng Alumni Chapter. It has never been more urgent and necessary to launch the UJ Alumni Chapter. The time is now, mainly because we have collectively witnessed the benefit and of connection and collaboration. They are the steady pillars with which we forge ahead in this time of COVID consciousness. Connection and collaboration, however, are mute if they are not propelled by compassion. This event today is an act of compassion. It is a call to connect in a meaningful relationship, a relationship that I'd like to call one that is high voltage but low maintenance. It is a time to share. Now is a time to be open, a time to give, a time to salvage, and a time to build. It is a time to also receive. Receive this invitation to connect and to collaborate with us with an open palm and a steady handshake and a receptive heart. Those words being said, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our esteemed President of the Convocation, Professor Dumi Diale, before her address. Professor Diale is currently the Vice Dean of Teaching and Learning at the University of Johannesburg. She's the President, of course, of the Convocation at the University of Johannesburg and chairs the Faculty of Education Transformation Committee. Professor Diale plays an advisory role in the university's Transformation Unit. Professionally, Prof. Diale is a registered educational psychologist with the Health Professors Council of South Africa and holds a private practice in Soweto. She's also the chair of the Transformation Committee, a member of the UJ Senior Leadership Group, the Senate, a section editor for the South African Journal of Childhood Education. She also chairs the South African Career Development Association, and as a professional, she's registered and practicing as an educational psychologist. Her current interests are really about career development across the pipeline and lifespan. She holds a PhD in education, a master's in educational psychology, an honors in education psychology, and other qualifications from other different institutions. She has taught at numerous courses, and she also wants it to be known that she's an avid horse rider. Over to you, Professor Diale.
Thank you, Deputy President, Ms. Zanele Mudiba. I didn't think you took that serious, me and horse riding, but thank you for saying that. My distinguished alumni, our guests who are here today, the friends of the University of Johannesburg, ladies and gentlemen, Dumelang, Sanibonani, Kuyeda, good evening, and happy Heritage Month. Today marks day 552 since South Africa went into lockdown on the 27th of March, 2020. I have to say, it has been a rough period for many of us. While we all have learned to adjust and adapt to the new normal, we also have had to transition into the new state of being. And this has not come without pain. When the pandemic started, I guess we all were just taking it as one of those things that are coming and passing. And it was all about statistics. Alas, little did we know that today, as we sit in this congregation, that we would be talking about significant people we know, those we grew up with, those that stayed with us or we stay with them, those that we shared a cup of tea or even a glass of wine. So the pandemic has become a reality to many of us. We have also seen the second pandemic, which has to do with gender-based violence, raising its ugly heads during these challenging times. Sadly, we've also observed the rising number of our students and staff undergoing depression and suicidal rates during the pandemic. It is on this context that as a human being who are meant to be socially linked and to be able to socially be with other people, that we are looking forward to actually link with everybody and to gradually reopen the University of Johannesburg to be able to link with people around the country. It is indeed wonderful to connect with you all at this important event where we launch our Gauteng chapter of the UJ Alumni. With us this evening, there are different generations stemming from our predecessor institutions, the Rand Afrikaans University, the Technical Witwatersrand, and our now University of Johannesburg. Though different in terms of generations, we all belong to the UJ as alumni and all pay allegiance to the Orange Army. Today, the convocation as a body mandated to mobilize the staff, alumni, and friends of the UJ is launching the Gauteng chapter as the first of many chapters to be launched nationally and internationally. By establishing the chapters, we believe we can begin the journey together of growing our institution, the University of Johannesburg. To this end, our roles and responsibilities as the convocants of the University of Johannesburg are, amongst others, to promote the positive image of UJ and to foster the sense of responsibility while engaging in robust debates about the state of the university and putting forward our opinions on matters that relate to the best interest of the University of Johannesburg. Since we were elected to office in 2019, as the executive of the convocation, we wish to declare that we are not where we thought we would be due to the pandemic. However, we also have to acknowledge that we have made great strides. Some of the initiatives by the current executive include the contribution that we want to make in building a Soweto-based female campus, a residence. As we say, we have a high rate of GBV, and we have the vision of building a residence that will house the many students that have to travel physically to the university. We also are in the process of building an alumni house or housing and opening an alumni house at the current JBS, that probably our VC will talk about the JBS in his address. We are also looking forward to open various affinity groups that relate to the various faculties and the various activities that we do as the University of Johannesburg. We look forward to having engagements with the various stakeholders, with business, with labor, with private public sectors and various organizations in terms of our students, our graduates, and those issues that have to do with unemployability. We therefore want to ensure that we engage with important stakeholders that will ensure that our graduates join the world of work. Finally, but most important, as the graduates of the University of Johannesburg, we really want to contribute financially to the University of Johannesburg through our development unit. And therefore, we want to plead to each and every one of you that it doesn't matter how little it is, we want to invite you to contribute to the University of Johannesburg. And our contributions are not only financially based, but also we wish you to contribute through various activities and various structures we have at the university. We also wish to present to you the various benefits we have that will enable us to establish a very strong alumni of the University of Johannesburg. For the alumni, we currently are offering electronic academic records, digital certificates, our Alumni Impumelelo magazine that actually tells you what's happening. And we recently launched also another important document at the University of Johannesburg, which is the alumni newsletter. We also have the Alumni Connect, where we wish to network with all of you as our Gauteng convocants. We also want to invite you to join us in the mentoring programs in the various fields that you graduated at. To learn more about this, please visit our website and download our recently published newsletter. We are working on expanding other benefits that you will get as the alumni, and I have to say they are exciting. So register with our alumni to be updated with the various activities that we have. In conclusion, as the president of the convocation, let me remind us all that we need to have passion in the university that gave us the opportunities to study and to acquire a qualification that enables us to make a living, while acknowledging the true struggles of those of our graduates who are still struggling to get into the world of work or to even start businesses. I wish to reaffirm my commitment to continue working to promote the UJ as the university of choice, anchored in Africa and dynamically shaping the future. Let me once more remind you all that the success of UJ depends on all of us. Allow me once more to thank and congratulate the organizers of this event, the Alumni Office, under the capable leadership of Mr. Nali Dwaba, for a significant work that they do behind the scenes. I take this opportunity to thank you all for honoring us with your presence, and I wish to invite you to join us on the 13th of October when we have our AGM for the convocation. I thank you. Ke a leboga, baya dankie. Ngiyabonga. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Diale, for that amazing and inspiring speech. I think when our president speaks to intergenerational connection, she really reminds me of a quote by Pat Waters that speaks to when we listen and we celebrate both what is common and what is different, we become wiser and our organizations become more robust. And I think what our president is really speaking to is that we have to call on ourselves to be courageous because our lives expand and contract in direct proportion to our courage. So thank you very much, Professor, for that very inspiring, very robust delivery. Without further ado, I'd like to now introduce our very, very illustrious alumnus who's going to be our convener, Mr. Stephen Shivambo. And before his address, I'd like to read out his CV. Mr. Stephen Shivambo is currently the superintendent of the Department of Geology at Sibanye-Stillwater since 2008. He is a positive, proactive, and a results-driven superintendent with a proven track record of working in a laboratory environment. His experience with both production and exploration fields of geology and geological processes, from data collection to analysis, interpretation, and communication. He holds a BSc in Geology and Geography from the University of Johannesburg, a BSc Honours degree in Geology from University of Johannesburg as well, and an MSc of Exploration Geology from Rhodes University. We'll forgive him for that Rhodes University glimpse, but we do value him, and he is our first convener of our Gauteng Alumni Chapter. Mr. Stephen Shivambu, please, can we have your address? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Program Director. Good evening, everyone. With great honor and pleasure, I'd like to thank the university management for providing me this opportunity to be part of this Gauteng UJ Alumni Chapter launch. My name is Stephen Shivambo. I graduated here at UJ in 2008. I was actually very fortunate to be part of the first students of UJ when the UJ was formed in 2005. I'm currently working for Sibanye-Stillwater as a superintendent geologist, where I'm responsible for the geology department. I also help with moderation of exit scripts and exams for TUT in the geology side. And I'm excited to be part of this journey of the Gauteng Alumni Chapter, where I have volunteered to be the convener of the chapter. I would like also to thank the university management for showing love and affection towards their former graduates and students by launching and supporting this event. This event, which will help us to relive the life we lived some years ago. This platform will provide an opportunity for everyone to meet each other after so many years. It will also provide a chance for us to meet with our former lecturers and other staff members. It will also help us to notice the various changes through which the university has gone through over the past few years since we've left the university. I believe our university has become one of the greatest institutions in South Africa, in Africa, and worldwide. I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who for taking your time from your busy schedule and join us, and hope everyone enjoy the evening. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shivambu. Thank you for taking up the opportunity and volunteering. As Homer puts it, light is the task where many share the toil. And you have put up your hand and raised your hand and shared the toil in making sure that we collaborate and connect in this time of mass isolation. Without taking up more time, I'd like to now take this opportunity to introduce our enterprising, tireless leader, the Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Chibisi Marwala. Before he gives us his keynote address, I would like to read out his abridged CV that is as long as any other normal person's normal CV. So bear with me as I introduce Professor Chibisi Marwala. Professor Chibisi Marwala is the university's second Vice Chancellor and Principal. Professor Marwala is a distinguished tenure at UJ as a Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Internationalization since 2013, and was previously UJ's Executive Dean of the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment. Prof holds and has received more than 45 honors and awards, including the Order of Mapumbangwe and the first African engineer to be awarded the National Research Founders President Award. Notable other awards include the Carl and Emily Fisher's Chair Systems and Control Engineering, as well as SAR Chair of Systems Engineering at the University of Witwatersrand. Hold on, I know it's a lot, hold on. Professor Marwala's research interests are multidisciplinary and include the theory and application of computational intelligence to engineering, computer science, finance, social science, and medicine. This is a multidisciplinary leader. As a B-rated researcher, he has published 9 books and over 300 papers in journals, proceedings, book chapters, magazines, and holds 3 international patents. He's an associate editor of the International Journal of System Science, Taylor and Francher Publishers, and has been a reviewer of more than 40 ISI journals. He holds a postdoctoral research associateship at the Imperial College of London, a Doctor of Philosophy degree in engineering from Cambridge University, a Master of Mechanical Engineering from the University of Pretoria, and a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, magna cum laude, might I add, from Case Western University in the United States of America. That is a mouthful. And so let's hear from the professor what his inspiring message will be to the first launch of the Gauteng Alumni Chapter. Over to you, Professor.
No, thank you very much, Chair and our Deputy President of the convocation. I also would like to acknowledge the President of the convocation, Professor Diale, and all members of the convocation who are here, our alumni. In 2016, the legendary Paul McCartney released a song entitled Hope for the Future. Little did we know how closely we would have to cling on to these lyrics just a few years later. As he sings, and I quote, "From out of the darkness, our future will come. We will be together sharing the load, watching in wonder as our lives unfold," close quote. We find ourselves nearing the tail end of another intriguing, although often challenging year. The pandemic has been a fascinating case study demonstrating exactly how we are able to adapt in extreme and uncertain circumstances. Though many of you have not been students for some time, you are part of the UJ community, and our successes are your successes. I am proud of how we have managed to respond to the challenges we have faced in this period. Our university has carved a footprint for itself in South Africa, Africa, and across the globe. We are certainly a university worth talking about, and our rankings are a testament to this. To mention but a few, in the 2022 Quanquarelli-Simons QS World University Rankings, UJ climbed 5 places from position 439 to 434 in the world, the only university in South Africa that improved and moved up the table. UJ retained 3rd place in South Africa and moved up from 4th into 3rd place on the African continent for the first time. In the July 2021 Webometrics ranking of world universities, UJ climbed 67 places from position 778 to 711 globally, retaining 6th place nationally. In 2021 academic ranking of world university, UJ climbed 36 places, becoming one of the top universities in the world. According to the Times Higher Education Impact Ranking, UJ is now ranked in the 1st position in the world for decent work and economic growth. UJ also featured among the top 100 in the various United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. In addition to being ranked 92nd in the world overall, UJ was ranked in the top 100 for the following Sustainable Development Goals. SDG 1, no poverty, it was ranked number 4 in the world. SDG 4, quality of education, number 24 in the world. SDG 5, gender equality, number 43. SDG 10, reduce inequality, number 60. SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, number 79. And SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, number 91. Of course, as you would know, we now generate 15% of our power from solar. More recently, the Studio Jokhu World University Ranking 2021 found UJ notched up a high ranking in our efforts to enable remote learning. We scored an impressive 9 out of possible 10 points. The annual survey is based on the responses from university students that rate their institutions on everything from academic reputation to campus safety. In the Times Higher Education subject rankings, we retained our position in the top 500 and improved markedly in life sciences, where we were ranked in the top 400 band in the world, having not featured in the top 800 table last year. This is the stature you hold as the University of Johannesburg alumni. It is through today's talk that I want to reacquaint you with your university. We want to assure you that you can be proud to call yourselves UJ alumni. Since the first rumblings of COVID-19, we have been agile, responsive, and constantly aligning ourselves with national strategies. We in the higher education sector have over the last few years had to undergo a series of shifts. Against an ever-changing global context, there is little room for our sector to remain static. In fact, for those of us who are steeped in the theory of dialectics, everything around us is always changing. And if we remain static and we don't change, then we are going to fall in the dustbin of irrelevance. Not only are we navigating COVID-19, but we are also finding our way and indeed our place in the fourth industrial revolution. That's on COVID-19. UJ created a prototype ventilator that is being explored for commercialization. If we delve into the mandate of higher education institutions, it is to prepare our students for the future. But in a future that remains uncertain, how do we go about this? To allude to the author Arundhati Roy, and I quote, "Historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine the world anew," close quote. Our constant referral back to our 4IR-centered strategy and an innovative lens has ensured that alongside the challenges, we have also seen successes. Last year, we were the first South African university to complete the academic year, and we are on track to achieve this once again this year. Our pass rate improved markedly, as did attendance. We are now coming to the end of our second year in the pandemic. While many of our staff and some students have returned to campus, our online offering will continue for the rest of this year. We have worked on prioritizing students that require access to facilities such as laboratories or clinics, ensuring that all the necessary COVID-19 health protocols and safety standards are implemented. Where challenges have cropped up around access to devices and data, we were quick to respond. We have provided monthly data packages to our students and distributed more than 5,000 devices. We are ever mindful of the inequities in our society, which plays itself out in our student population. It is not just in the teaching sphere that we are seeing success. The university has continued to participate and contribute to discussions and intellectual debates in the public spaces on COVID-19. Last year, 3D printers were used to produce PPE, for examples. This is one of several areas where the university has ensured that it is at the forefront of this battle against this dreadful pandemic. Additionally, we have been at the forefront of innovation. Just this month, our Institute for Intelligent Systems unveiled an agile four-legged animal mimicking robot with artificial intelligence, and this dog is called Spot. Though this may seem superfluous, it marks an important milestone in developing robotics and advancing academic training at the university across the board. The robot can be used by industries in sectors like disaster management and mining. The robot came with sensing equipment to help navigate the terrain with unprecedented mobility. Now we look to the future in an uncertain world. Mapping out a trajectory for a post-COVID-19 world is no easy feat because of the unpredictability of the pandemic. In this world, we envision, after a vaccine, or as many experts will tell you, the virus persists but adapts. What we are clear about is the trajectory of our university. UJ is widely regarded as a model by other universities in leading the fourth industrial revolution conversations in South Africa and the continent. For example, I was the deputy chair of the Presidential Commission on the Fourth Industrial Revolution in South Africa, deputizing our president, Mr. President Cyril Ramaphosa. I'm also on the Namibian Fourth Industrial Revolution Task Team. And furthermore, I am the chairperson of the Africa Center of Excellence in the Internet of Things in Kigali. This is an indication of how well we are regarded as the University of Johannesburg as a leading light in developing fourth industrial revolution to unlock economic opportunities in the continent of Africa. As you are undoubtedly aware in your own industries, the pandemic has served as an important purveyor of tools for our preparedness for this shift. The 4R, simply put, is the age of intelligent machines, characterized by technologies such as artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, augmented reality, and 3D printing, for example. These disruptive technologies are fundamentally changing the way we learn, live, work, and relate to one another. Universities have to shift their roles towards a focus on emerging requirements of businesses, governments, and society. Just a few weeks ago, I penned an op-ed on the Daily Maverick where I was saying that universities must reimagine themselves as businesses. The changes that will be brought about by the fourth industrial revolution will be rapid and often unpredictable. It is crucial that our planning processes allow for constant adaptation. The ability of the continent, countries, organizations, and individuals to rapidly adapt and evolve to take advantage of the changing environment will be essential. The media space, the think tanks, government, and many other players in the field, we have now realized that tomorrow they may have been imagining is already with us. UJ has led the charge actively. In 2018, when I took the reins as Vice Chancellor and Principal of your university, and to build on the legacy left by my predecessors, I introduced Industry 4.0 to the university as part of the already existing Global Excellence and Stature Strategy, which initiated a highly successful developmental trajectory in terms of the university's global academic standing and was adopted in 2013. Through the Global Excellence and Stature 4.0 strategy called GES 4.0, UJ intends to advance and position its strategic intent of attaining global excellence and stature within the context of the fourth industrial revolution, and to support the African continent in embracing 4IR as a leading African institution in a globally competitive environment. UJ has adopted the adaptive strategy for preparing for the fourth industrial revolution. And this strategy involves accessibility, digital literacy, acceleration, pan-regionalization, transformation, inclusiveness, vision, and engagement. This strategy aims to facilitate preparation for the 4IR at a granular level, from offering a number of mobile technology applications to support teaching, learning, and administration, to building high-level partnerships with other institutions, industry leaders, regional stakeholders, and local communities. This has proven a worthwhile strategy. Since its implementation, we have emerged as a competitive player, not only in South Africa, but on the African continent. We are on the precipice of change. Now, even more so as we navigate this pandemic, let us be engaged. Let us come together to ensure that the University of Johannesburg does not remain number 3 in the QS ranking, but becomes number 1 within the next 2 years. Now, more than ever before, it is important to come together to navigate this devastating pandemic. The pandemic and indeed lockdown has been an important learning curve for us. It has not only demonstrated where we have performed well, but where our gaps lie. In subsequent reports, such as the Vice Chancellor's report to Senate, it has become apparent that our success is in part attributable to our years of engagement and experience with the 4th Industrial Revolution. Most recently, our stakeholder report asserted, and I quote, "The pandemic challenged UJ to draw on its 4IR related knowledge and expertise in developing not only the new normal workplace, but indeed the new institution. As countries adapt to the elements of the 4th Industrial Revolution, UJ has to be and will be leading and challenging conventional stereotypes. We are truly faced with a moment in which we can drive change, but we cannot do this alone. I remind you of the inextricable link you have with the University of Johannesburg, a university that needs you to work with us to reimagine and reinvent the future. Ngiyabonga, ngiyalibuka, bayadanki.
Thank you very much to Professor Marwala for that impassioned address. By Professor Marwala's estimation, we are all innovators, and we all know that the difference between leaders and followers is innovation. And we all know that with greatness, therefore, comes great responsibility. And I think what Professor Marwala is trying to say is that we are at the cutting edge of change. We're at the cutting edge of excellence, and we're at the cutting edge of innovation. It is well within your right and your responsibility to join the charge and get involved and engage the alumni chapter to ensure that you become the solution provider for the challenges that we all share collectively. Now I want to really go into our question and answers chat box section. I think it's great that we have so many questions that individuals have been posing. I want to appeal to you, please do ask us questions. We have until 6:30 to answer those questions. And our questions are really far ranging. So I'm going to divide them between Professor Marwala and Professor Diale as well. And of course, if our convener would like to respond to some questions, more than welcome. I'll start with Professor Marwala. I think you're still hot on the stove. So let's answer some questions that relate to the medical school. Individuals from the panel want to know, when is this medical school coming? What is the process? When will the launch be? And while you are talking about the medical school, I think it's good to couple it with somebody asking the question, what happened to the campus that was meant to be built between Pretoria and Johannesburg? So if you could start with answering the medical school question first, and then go into the campus that the individual that's asked us here has said, what has happened to the idea of a campus between Pretoria and Johannesburg? Over to you, Professor Marwala.
Thank you very much. The issue of medical school, I will start with it. As you might have actually observed, it was announced by our Premier 2 years ago in his State of the Province address that we are going to be starting a medical school. Now, for us to start a medical school, there are a number of players that have to come to the party. The first is our Department of Higher Education and Training. And of course, the department has been supporting us. In fact, just a few weeks ago, we were meeting the minister where we were keeping stock on how far we are. The second stakeholder is the provincial department, because for you to train doctors, you need hospitals, and the hospitals are under the control of the provincial government, whether it is Charlotte Maxeke, whether it is Chris Hani Baragwanas, whether it is Helen Joseph, they all fall under the province. Again, despite the hiccup in the department that came as a result of Life Esidimeni disaster, the department is ready to go with us. Then the third role player is actually the Department of Health. The Department of Health for quite a while has been asking us difficult questions as to why do we need to put a fourth medical school in Gauteng while you have provinces without medical school, and we have gone past that. So the medical school will be launched in 2025. The fourth element which we have brought to our medical school, which is perhaps a little bit different from other medical schools, is that we wanted to bring the private sector, wanted to bring a Netcare to be part of our training platform. And then there are some ideological issues that we need to resolve due to a bit of skepticism on the part of the Department of Health when it comes to matters of bringing private providers into our training platform. The fifth issue that has emerged is that the training of medical doctors is changing across the board. If you want to go to medical school in Australia, you can't go to medical school directly from high school for majority of cases. If you want to go to medical school in United States of America, you cannot go to medical school directly from high school at all. You have to go and finish a degree. It can be in biology, it can be in chemistry, whatever the degree is, as long as you have the pre-med courses. And after you have finished that, then you come to medical school and it becomes a 4-year program. And that is the medical school that we want to pursue. And in South Africa, VETS has a hybrid one where you can come as a graduate, called the Graduate Entry Medical Program, or you can start at the beginning. The good thing about that program is that the people are matured and the people already have attained some of the essential knowledge that are needed for them to do a medical program. So that is what we are going to pursue, and it's going to start in 2025. Now, what happened to the campus in Pretoria, Johannesburg? I must confess, I don't know about the campus in between Pretoria and Johannesburg. What I know is that when the Model Fontaine complex that was a new city that was going to be created by the Chinese came about, we considered putting a campus there. Of course, we know that that city project has actually collapsed. But I have to also add that the UJ has acquired 2 new campuses. The Media 24 complex, just next to SABC, is a new campus that we have acquired last year. And we have a new innovation campus in Soweto, in Devland, that is going to focus on innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Morala. I'll go straight into the questions directly speaking to the chapters that are going to launch in other provinces. I'll ask Professor Diele to answer the questions. Are we planning to open a chapter in KZN? And do we have national chapters, as well as other interests and opportunities for SADC to get involved? How are we going to really ensure a robust interaction across the globe? Professor Diele, please will you let our alumni know of our current chapters and how we roll out next?
Thank you so much, Deputy President. We currently have this, as we said earlier on, this is our first chapter, national chapter. The Gauteng chapter is the first one to be reopened. However, in last year, 2020, we opened the USA chapter together with Professor Marwala, for the USA-based colleagues or chapter members. Therefore, we are looking forward to actually open various chapters nationally. We are looking at opening at the various provinces in the country where we can say we are looking forward to everybody who wants to be part of the University of Johannesburg. And we also are looking to actually start chapters outside the province, outside South Africa, in terms of the African states, our SADC countries. So I would want to urge members who are here today, who come from our SADC countries, or even our countries in Africa, in the north of Africa, to really get in touch with our office so that we can begin to negotiate the way of opening chapters across the country and across Africa. We also are looking at opening chapters globally. So get in touch with us, with our office, and we will be ready to do that with you.
Thank you very much, Professor Diale, for answering those questions. We have a couple of questions that talk about unemployment, that we specifically want to know what are our solutions as a convocation in relation to unemployment, and Professor Marala will answer one in particular in relation to UJ graduate unemployment. I think from the convocation perspective, what I'd like to say is that one of our projects as the convocation is to really look at unemployment as not just a UJ scenario, but also it's a national pandemic and it's a global problem. But from our perspective, we started to work with Corporate South Africa. In particular, we have initiatives, we're starting with Microsoft and Think Code, that are looking at experience and what the market needs. So we are starting to think about crafting programs around what is our experience engine. An experience engine essentially would be what does the market need, and how do we take our graduates and make sure that they're market ready, to make sure that they're 12-month experience engine experience, as well as the Do Shop. This is in its nascent stages. The Do Shop essentially is saying that as a lever to unemployment and underemployment, we are going to use entrepreneurship. So we have a 12-month program that we're going to be looking into with Google specifically, and how to take something from an idea and turn it into an invoice, and really make sure that our graduates are able to take their degrees, take their qualifications, and then flip them and turn them into enterprises. That is a convocation-led initiative that we are currently dealing with, and hopefully by the end of our term, we would have launched what we call our idea to invoice a program, as well as the experience engine that really makes sure that UJ graduates are capacitated to start their own business, and not necessarily just in their field of study, because as Professor Marala said, the world is changing. We need to make sure that we have hybrid skills and we're able to connect with what the market needs. So basically taking your profession and your qualification and turning it into an enterprise. Professor Marala, maybe from a national perspective, you can shed light on your views on unemployment and how it relates to our university. Your thoughts might be around.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Deputy President, unemployment is probably the biggest challenge that we face, the post-1994 democratic order face. And if there is any risk, of our democratic order collapsing, it is precisely because of unemployment. Rousseau, one of the great thinkers of the French Revolution, in his book, Social Contract, he talks about this social contract between the government and its people, where government give away some of their rights in exchange of protection by government. And he says that if that social contract is broken, then the people have the right to revolt. Now, that protection that is embedded in that social contract actually involves decent work, availability of work. So this is very, very serious issue, given the fact that our unemployment rate is now over 30%, 32%, and people are saying that that is just an official estimate. The unofficial, much more accurate one is closer to 50%. We need to do something about it. Now, what are we doing at the University of Johannesburg? There are a few strategies that we are we have put into place in order to prepare our students for the world of work. We have community involvement, community service, expectation of 6 hours of community service per month. And what we are doing with the city of Johannesburg and any other organization that would want to partner with us is to agree on what some of our students can do, whether it is in the city of Johannesburg, and you're going to see more of our students out cleaning our streets, and so that they can learn about what being a responsible citizen is all about. The second issue is the issue that I tended to see in North America, where within the university system, we create work-study opportunities. For example, I have 3 assistants, who are students, and part of the reason is obviously they need to do the work, but the real reason is so that we can prepare them for the world of work. And the third thing, which the Deputy President has already alluded to, is the issue of entrepreneurship. You go to our student center, you see shops, and many people are starting to ask, why are those shops not owned by students and not operated by students? Why? And as we go forward with contracts, we'll be thinking about how do we get our entrepreneurs to actually be involved there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Marala. While you still are answering these questions, it's a very interesting question around the availability and the visibility of funding mechanisms for PhD students. Sibongile wants to know, what are those mechanisms? How can PhD students, whether it's full-time or part-time, be funded? And just really, I get a sense that she's clear about that. And before you answer that question as well, possibly you can couple it with a question that speaks to online learning. What are your thoughts about online learning full-time for the university? Is it something that we're going to do, or we're going to continue to be doing hybrid learning given COVID-19?
Yeah, so there are really 3 sources of PhD funding. The first one is funding directly from the supervisor. So the supervisor will apply for the grant, and then once that grant is given, then we'll employ PhD students and make sure that they have all the tools of the trade that they need in order to execute the PhD student and also take care of their livelihood. That's the first part. And of course, not all professors have grants. It also depends on your standing within your profession and also on the sort of topics that you're working on that will ensure that you have the grants. The second one is through scholarships. And we have quite a number of scholarships. I even have a scholarship named after my grandmother, Chiano Marada, scholarship for women interested to do postgrad in engineering. And National Research Foundation, CSIR, Google has started giving us scholarships. Of course, it depends on what you are working on. That is the second one, and then the third one is scholarships that we actually give, whether it is the GES PhD scholarships and so on and so forth. Now, the question that we probably will ask after this is that, do the numbers balance? You have the demand on one side, which is what people who want to do their PhDs. Then you have the supply, which is the amount of money that is available to finance that. The demand does not match the supply, and we need to think together as the convocation on how we can expand the PhD opportunities for those people who want to come and study at the University of Johannesburg.
Thank you so much, Professor Marwala. We now have 5 minutes left before we close, so I'm going to look and see if we've got any more questions. If we don't, I'd like to officially really give a vote of thanks for the wonderful interaction that we've had online with our participants. We really, really are grateful that you do log on and participate and join us in these events. I really want to thank our speakers today for really elucidating us on what's happening with the alumni, what's happening with the convocation, and also what's happening UJ-wide. I think Professor Marwala gave a very robust speech about our levels of leadership, our innovation, and really that we should be proud to be part of the UJ community, that we should be proud to be the leaders and innovators that we speak to. I think it's important that it's not just a glib comment. He's backed it up with numbers about our rankings, and he's given us a call to action to really try to pop up our rankings and pop up our numbers and become the first in South Africa call across all important data points. So I really call on us as the alumni to really get involved. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the alumni office led by Mr. Nel Ledwaba. I think it's the individuals behind the scenes that make events like this happen that we never really thank. And I want to say thank you so much for really giving us this opportunity to connect and obviously to collaborate, as well as our technical team who all know that some of us here today are technophobes and who really work with us compassionately to make sure that an event like this gets put together. Thank you so much for your patience and your dedication to really becoming and helping us becoming a world-class university, not just in Africa, but in the globe. Thank you so much, and I'd like to close off with an African proverb. I wonder who actually said this, but it's attributed to the elusive African that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, let's go together. Let our courage expand in direct proportion to the call to action from Professor Marwala. Thank you very much and have a great evening. And until next time, we'll see you online. Thank you so much. Good evening.